Hello everyone, it's Michelle Galnett with Past and Present Presents. Today I am going to be showing you how to make one of these lovely rosettes. So it's pretty easy, it's a little time consuming, but I know you can all do it. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to need is you are going to need your loose weave burlap. And I am going to be working with a loose weave and a tight weave. Now the tight one, as you can see, you can tell the difference. It has more threading going through than the loose weave, which is actually see-through, semi-see-through. So now you're gonna pick your color choice of what you're gonna use. I am doing 3 different colors today, just because this is what was requested. So I'm going to be using, and I did some pieces already, this way I'm not showing you the entire thing. This is going to be your white. I have the black done, and I am going to show you how to work with it with your, on the gray. So the gray is only going to be getting a small amount into it, just to make the white pop out a little more. So now, when I make my rosettes, I like to use at least 102 inches worth of burlap. Amount of burlap, not worth of burlap, but. So my white here is 48 inches. My black is 48 inches, which that comes to 88 inches. So then the rest I will be cutting into my gray. Now you're going to want to use these sharp tip scissors. These are Fisker brand, or you can use whatever scissors you have on hand. I like to use those because it gets into the little weaves. And you're going to need your glue gun, and you're going to need 1 pipe cleaner. Now I wouldn't recommend the tinsel pipe cleaners, just because you're going to want one that has a good hold on it, because when you're twisting it in the back of a frame, whatever kind of frame, a board, you're going to want that nice good grip. Now you can use these as floral decorations as well. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this little trim, and we want to save as much of the burlap as possible. Oh, and you're going to need a face mask for this as well. I have one. That's why sometimes you see me mumbled. Now, make sure you cut in between the threads that are going horizontal. So I'll try to get you as close as I can to how I'm cutting it. So now I'm going directly through the seams. Okay. Now this is why you would want a sharp pair of scissors. And the reason why I'm cutting this far away from the seam is because some of them, as you can see, some of them they're crooked. So we're gonna go all the way up. Okay, so now since I have 88 worth of burlap, 88 inches right now, so 102, 88. Okay. Same thing, you're going to cut directly into that seam. And this is not something that needs to be rushed. If you want to make a rushed rosette, yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to do it. I don't think it's going to be able to look as good. But then again, I just might be slow at it, so who knows. Okay, so next what I like to do, I'm going to adjust my camera, bring it up a little bit more. What I like to do is you can, oh, and you need a pair of tweezers, I'm sorry. You can, the tight weave burlap is pretty hard if you pull out one string. I'll show you. Because, see, it rips off. because they're so close together that it's hard to pull. If you're doing it on a looser weave burlap, it'll be easier to do that. But this is what I like to do. So I take my scissors again, and I go maybe about, I usually do about 5-6 inches, but I just eyeball it. I go directly to the bottom stitch, and then I just cut up. Okay, now I continue this for my entire strip. Okay, and you're only gonna go to the top part of the burlap where it has the what is this called? Where it has the seam. Okay, so then you're gonna continue to do that for your entire strip. Okay, and I'll come back when I have this all said and done. Okay, so next, this is what your burlap is going to look like. Now remember, you're going to want to wear your mask when you're handling burlap because of all the fibers. So the next step you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors and you're going to find a starting point. I always start in the middle just because, and it doesn't matter whether you're using the loose or the tight. You don't want to stop at the top or the bottom just because you might pull that little seam out of the stitch. So I always start in the middle. Now I place my hand down. I pull it out just a little bit from the front. Push it down a little bit more. Put it down from the little front and pull. And it's so simple. Work it back and forth. Now this is just my technique. I like to go up first. I like to do some going towards the top. And then when I feel that I have a good amount of space, I'll take my hand off. And this is kind of why I do the 5 inches in between. This way I can hold my fingers down, and then you're just going to pull them up. Now you're going to make sure that you get onto, you're not going to want to pull the ones going horizontal. You're going to pull the ones going sideways. Okay. Now, in your loose weave, which is the black, you're going to leave yourself one line on the bottom. Just, it gives it a better chance at the horizontal lines surviving your plucking. Pretty much it. Okay, so same thing for the top, and now we're just going to pull down. Like I said, you can pull them, try to pull them all the way out without cutting down the every 5 inches, but this is just so much easier, and you have less of a fraying from your seams. Oops, so see, now I just pulled one out. Now if you forget one up here, you just go up here, you cut it, and then you pull it out. Now this one, since it's such a tight weave, I can just pull it out from the bottom. But if it was on the loose weave, all you would do is you would take your hot glue gun, push it down, put a dab on there, put your little fingers on and hold it on, and it goes right back into place. So same thing with all these sections. This is what you're going to keep doing. And this is the only part that's time consuming. Because once you're done with this, and it's so mundane because you got to do it. Okay? Now, if you have little, as you see, little clusters of the fibers, just pull it off. It's not a problem. And we're just going to do the same thing. Now, I'll finish this one up. And then I'll fast forward to the good parts. To where we can assemble. Okay. I always have my garbage next to me so I can get rid of all this extra. Okay, then see, I'm going to pluck some of these fibers off. And you want to hold the top down when you're pulling down because you don't want to get that seam out. Well, you don't want that, the seam to open. Now I know I learned this from Reese by Rosie. And I know a lot of other people do these, but this is my version of the way I do them. Okay, so then I'm just going to finish these last 3 sections and I'll be back. Okay, so this is what your final piece is going to look like. Whatever size you choose to do, it's going to be longer, it'll be shorter. Okay, so next what you're going to do is you're going to put on your little finger protectors. You're going to make sure your hot glue gun is all heated up. You're going to take the beginning of your piece, and on the bottom, on that bottom seam, you're just going to put as much as you can, as far as you can go. You're going to just put a bead going all the way down, and then you're going to fold this over. And then you're going to bring the top down. And just make sure your seam is even. So that is what it's going to look like. Okay, now I've done the rest of them already. So I wanted to just show you for this piece. And you still want, while you're making these, you want to keep your mask on. Because the fibers are going to be all around. Even if you clean off your table and then you start doing this piece, it's still going to come off. So we don't want this bad stuff to get in our looms. Okay, so now see how this piece just curled in? All you're going to do is just take your fingers and fluff it back up. Okay, you don't want to connect all of these when this looks like this, because then they'll stay like that. Alright, we got a little straggler over here. Okay, so now, since we're doing 3 colors, the color that you are going to want to be in your center is the color that you are going to start to roll first, okay? So now you need your pipe cleaner. What I do is I half it, I put end to end, just like this, end to end, and then I flatten it for maybe about a little bit over an inch, inch and a half. Okay, so now we're gonna get our pieces. So this is the first step of connecting everything together. So the same step as your gray, you're going to put just a little bead there, just to fill up your pipe cleaner. And what I like to do is I like to take my tweezers and just push it down. This is going to be what you adhere everything to, what you adhere the rosette to. You're going to use this pipe cleaner. Okay, so next what I do is I turn this towards my body. I let it hang on the floor. and just like this. And now I take these off because I need to feel this, but you're more than welcome to keep yours on. Save your finger. So I only go a little bit over now. And then you're just gonna fold it into each other. Now you're not gonna press down because you want your curl. You're not gonna want it to be stiff. So again, when you're spinning this, when you're turning this, remember, do not press down fully because you want it to have a roundness to it, okay? So don't push too hard when you're turning. You don't want it to be square because if it starts to turn out square, then once your rosette is totally finished, it's gonna have an awkward look to it. That part had too much glue on it. Okay, and then you're just going to keep going, doing that all the way down with your glue. And you're just going to roll. Now remember, you're not pressing down fully. You're giving it a little bit of pressure, but not a full press. Okay. Now when you get to the end of your piece, this piece is different just because I had these two pieces cut already. So I just have to add another piece to this, but this is going to be the same way you do it. Okay, so I usually leave about an inch at the end. So now, this is still my same color, so I'm just adding this to it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit, about an inch, and I'm going to place this one on top and push down. And the reason why you want this one on top is because you want your what is this? Like your folds, you want your folds all still going the same way. Okay, so then we're just going to continue with our remember, you're not pressing hard. Not hard at all. And I use a Gorilla Glue. The Gorilla Glue sticks. You can really use any glue sticks on this because it's burlap, and burlap will pretty much adhere to any kind of glue. But Gorilla Glue is my preference. Okay, so we're going to keep this going. Oh, that was a big glob. Just wipe that excess off. And you want to make sure that you're staying along this seam. You're just rolling it on the bottom. And I'll lift this up in a second after I get all of this glue. You see how nice and flat it is? That's what you want. Okay. So the same thing. And 1/2 of an inch. Or whatever you're more comfortable with adhering. Okay, so now this is what it looks like. This is your first color. This is your center. This is your beginning. Just getting these glue strings. Okay, so same thing. Now we're going to take our gray. And we're going to put the little dab on the corner. And set this one on it. Same reason, you want your folds all going the same way. Okay. Now we continue. Now this method isn't the spiral method. This method is the just the multi-color method. Okay, so we're just adding. And you can make these as full as you want, as short as you want. It is all preference. And you're still going along that seam. Okay. So see how that gray kind of brings out that little bit of white? Well, that bunch of white, that little bit of gray brings it out. Okay, so same thing. Now we're going to add our black. Dropped it. Add a little dab, and I think I'm going to need another glue stick. Just like that. You're going to keep all your seams straight. Now what I do to add my glue is I just push it on put some of this on the bottom and then push it in, just because it's a longer glue stick. So I don't want it to keep falling out, and I don't want to have to hold it. Oh, I went up a little bit too high on that part, but that's okay because you'll still have movement with this. Okay, see how it's still nice and flat? I'm not pushing at all. The loose weave burlap, their seams are a lot different than the tight weave, so you adjust accordingly. Still going. Oh, okay. That was the glue, not me. Okay. Just trying to get all of, if there was any glue, so when I'm rolling it, the burlap doesn't get stuck. Now you can always put your finger down here and make sure it's rolling with it. Well, rolling the right way. Okay, so now we're getting closer to the end. Now you're just going to go take this one all the way down. Instead of waiting, you're just going to take it all the way to the bottom, just like that. And you're going to roll, and this is the only time you're going to push down. It's just because you want that to be a nice and tight. Okay. So now you pick up all of your little glue webs, glue strings. Now see how nice and there's no, can't tell that there's a seam at all. But see how nice and even that, well, this way I'm holding it. There you go. See how good it is? And that's it. I'm just getting that up. And that's it. And then what you're gonna do is when you put it, when you either order one from me or you put one on a flower, is you're gonna take it and you're just gonna open it up all the way from the center. You're gonna open it up. But look how that gray, that little bit of gray just brings out the white and the black. It doesn't make it look like it's too dark at all. And then that's how it's gonna look once you're done. And then you have your bottom. Now sometimes I take a little piece of felt. That's because I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like the way that this looks, and sometimes it might not even look this nice. There's sometimes when I have to do a spiral one and it's not this pretty looking. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna cut up our piece of felt to size. Okay, we're gonna put it over and then just put our finger where our little slits should be. Okay, there's one, there's two. Okay, then you're just gonna put it on top. You're gonna thread your little pipe cleaners through. Push it down. Okay, then you're just gonna trim. Now you don't want it to overlap because of course you don't want the white to show with the black. And it doesn't have to be perfect because this is just a cover-up. You don't want it, like I said, you don't want it to go to the total outside of the black. Okay. So then that's done. Fits the bottom, oh I'm sorry, fits the bottom of my rosette. Then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna lift it and we're gonna put our hot glue on. Okay. I'm just gonna push it back down. And I'm gonna trim this a little bit more. We don't need that much. Alright, there should be. Now your back. Can't tell if your underneath is oogly moogly. Alright, so there should be. There is your rosette tutorial. And I thank you for watching. If you like what you see, hit a like and subscribe, and I should be coming out with more videos soon. And thank you for joining me. Take care, everyone. Bye.